You're one of them. You will take this gun when you pry it from my cold, dead fucking hands.
I agree wholeheartedly from you. I'm just
You know what I'm
saying.
saying?
I think we're
That's
underestimating our ability as.
I think you're overestimating the fucking reach of some individuals.
No, you got to look at. It's not going to be a mass invasion. They're never going to actually invade our homes all at one time. They're going to be like, oh, this place is. They've already, think about this. Think about what they've just set precedents for. They can now put us under curfew.
They've always been able to do that. They've been able to do that since World War I.
Get it. But now they're implementing it.
They implemented it then.
I get it.
It happens.
It happens. It's not the first time that they've implemented curfews.
I understand that. But there's sure all of a sudden... When was the last time there was a curfew in the Twin Cities?
The last time that there was a war.
So
there
what-
were riots. The last time that there were major riots in the Twin Cities.
Which was when?
Fucking...
Probably the
I'd have to look that
70s.
up.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so it's been 40 years. It's been 40 years. And there were wars actually going on back then. The way that our governor handled the National Guard for our reaction, him being a commander in the National Guard, and as a commander in the National Guard, your whole duty is civic safety. So if you're a commander in the National Guard, you've been studying civic safety for a long time. So you're telling me that it took 3 days to get him out to University Avenue when Grand was completely protected? I mean, you just look at it in these riots, and I don't know who's behind them, but pick whoever you want to. It's just interesting that it happened between Lexington and Snelling.
Where they've been getting people to not sell all of their businesses for an extended duration of time.
And then you've got the shopping center that's right next.
This isn't new shit. This is
I
old
just
tactics.
put it all together. I understand that, but I think that's something that people aren't looking at. We had the protesters and we had the riots, whatever you want to call it, give it whatever fucking name you need to. But it was designated to a certain street in a certain area next to a brand new soccer stadium that's very successful.
I mean, there were things. So I was here.
The whole shopping center.
He lived in that.
So I was
here.
here. I live in that neighborhood, and then I was here that night, and I was listening to police scanners and shit like that because we were just trying to keep up. And if something goes wrong, we need to be aware of it. We need to know what's going on.
Right. I'm over on Lexington University, so
yeah,
I'm.
So
we saw the
what
fires.
we were doing.
Yeah, and the gunshots.
And there was stuff sporadically going on throughout St. Paul and Minneapolis. I mean, there was definitely a lot of stuff going on Payne Avenue in St. Paul and on Rice Street as well. There was a lot going on. So I mean, definitely it was concentrated in that area, and there could definitely be something said about.
I'm sorry.
How much happened there, and what neighborhoods were instantly protected.
Because I was right there.
But I don't think.
I heard the canister fired at Target that started the whole fiasco, the whole gas canister. I was like, I heard thump. I'm like, oh, heard one of those before in my military days. So we got to see the Napa fire and the AutoZone fire and all those amazing fires and hear all the gunshots that didn't exist and all those. And yeah, but I drove down there the very next morning. I drove down University, and it was still burning and everything. Nothing. Everything was it was bad. Did you go down there?
I was in Colorado.
Okay. So then I drove to Grand Avenue.
Here.
Yeah.
I drove to Grand Avenue. Go ahead and check out Grand Avenue because I was interested.
Clean as a whistle, right?
Everything was open.
Yeah.
There was a little. Well, so
No. There was. I drove by. So I'm sorry. I'm nugget. There was the Walgreens door was broken. That was paneled up. There was 2 liquor stores. Those doors were broken. Those were paneled up. And there was 1 spray. Psst. That was it. I drove down 3 times back and forth to go ahead and make sure I didn't miss anything. That's all that happened in Grand Avenue, because as soon as looters happened, National Guard was there or whoever was there, and they stopped it immediately. Mm-hmm. So if they can do it there, and they were so quick to adjust, why is it that they let it go 3 days of burning and looting? 3 days. Why? Because it didn't need to take that long. As soon as he actually put the National Guard out, it was done.
Well, I think
But he waited 3 days. Why?
So again, it depends if you're talking about the overall planning of the thing, or you're talking about just what happened at times. So, I mean, I'm guessing, and I'll say I'm guessing, is that you just didn't have big numbers show up at on Grand Avenue.
No.
Is probably, you didn't have real big numbers show up compared to the numbers of people that were out
on University
Avenue.
Did they?
Okay,
did they make?
But if they only had small numbers,
did they make a move legitimately towards Grand Avenue? Would be a hypothetical. We would have to look at that.
I'm just wondering why was it University Avenue? Why did everybody decide that in order to go ahead and to salute this man and peacefully protest, we're going to destroy these 2 blocks thoroughly, burn the shit down completely, and then the rest of the city we're going to be like, nah, this is the 2 block.
I personally think for St. Paul, I think for what happened in St. Paul, it was, I mean, the University Snelling area, it's a broke neighborhood. That's one thing.
It's not as broke as the university in Rice.
Well, yeah, but it's not. I just mean. And then the second part is that it popped off at Target in Minneapolis, and then it popped off at St. Paul Target too. I think honestly, part of it was just what happened to be a Target. but see, Target's a place where you could go and loot and get exactly what you want. It is everything.
It is true. They have the total package. I guess if you're going to be a peaceful protester and decide to loot,
go to Target.
Wow.
But, I mean, there were other weird things that were going on though too. I mean, like
that's the
gas stations.
You can't correlate the two. Peaceful protesters aren't looters, dude. They're not the same.
Agreed, wholeheartedly. So I don't know the peaceful protesters, because like my neighbors across the street were there for the highway thing where the semi came flying in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My neighbors were at that thing in the group.
Right.
When the truck came through.
Yeah.
They were peacefully protesting. There was no looters.
Right.
There was no anything. They were peacefully protesting.
Right.
Nobody jumped into that crowd to go say, let's burn some shit and loot some towns, Right. Now, the Ethiopian group, they came down University because of something that happened with a government official, something. So, a big group of Ethiopians came down University. Peacefully. No looting, no rioting, no anything. So when I say peaceful protesters, that means the whole group is a peaceful protester. If you're saying that there's a group of 100 people, but only 50 of them are looting, that's not a peaceful protest. Yeah, those 50 people that are not looting need to leave them. Because are they literally protesting? So explain this to me. So here's what you've got. You've got buildings on fire on both sides. How do you think that's going to look with 40 people walking down the street peacefully screaming justice? Is that going to look peaceful?
I know it doesn't look peaceful. It's purposefully done that way for it not to look peaceful.
So then they need to go somewhere else from the looting. But, right?
Well, now here's the thing. Do you want people to try and stop people?
If somebody is doing damage to something, they need to be stopped.
Either you want the protesters to try and stop the people that supposedly came with them, or you want them to just evacuate the area altogether. So which one? What would you rather? Would you rather the people?
Whatever you want to do, whatever's going to work for you to apply peace to them.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm not calling them peaceful. If they're hanging out with the looters among the burning and the streets, they're not peaceful.
Because
they're not peaceful.
There's plenty of videos and plenty of video evidence while shit is going on where there's more numbers of people that are like, dude, stop that shit.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. Knock that off.
Okay, that's great.
But if you look comparatively, the numbers of people that are trying to tell the idiots that are burning shit and looting shit, way more than the numbers of people that are out there setting shit on fire and robbing shit. So the attention, again, is being focused on all of this fucking drama and shit that's being perpetrated.
So why would you
and not,
protest
again, on the fucking people
So why
that
would
are
you?
there.
How are these people knowing when you're going to protest? That's what I don't understand. So here's what happens: is you get the Ethiopians together, they're fine, they're peaceful. You get the group that's on the freeway together, they're fine, they're peaceful. How come they peacefully protested without anybody interrupting? Without anybody?
What is the visibility of that particular protest at that particular time, and what is the benefit on both a social and economic level? We have to think big picture schemes, man.
So
Big picture schemes, large social sweeping schemes. You know what I'm saying? People will be like, well, now you're reaching into conspiracy. I don't think I'm reaching into conspiracy at all. I think I'm looking at basic trends throughout any time of volatile history of some time that shit pops off. This is the shit that always ends up happening. Always.
Right. So Black Lives Matter always happens right before an election.
Not even that.
So that
Even in the civil rights era. If you go back to,
Yep.
let's take Black Lives Matter off of the fucking table. Let's not even look at what's going on currently and just take the civil rights movement of the 60s.
But that doesn't help us today.
It does. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same tactics being used during the exact same protests over the exact same reasons. Police brutality, that was the shit that was at issue. Economic disparity, that's the same shit that was at issue. These are all the same issues being done as they were in the 60s. This isn't a different fight. This is the exact same fight as it was then. These are the exact same protests that they were then. Just a new era for a different time. It's not Jim Crow laws. It's systematic racism and police brutality. So it's not any different. That's why you're able to take the behaviors of the crowds and the violence surrounding all of the protests. You can literally mirror that shit to what happened in the 60s to what's happening right now. It's the exact same tactics. The exact same. They have not changed.
Okay.
I have asked numerous people who have lived through the 60s who participated in both sides of that shit. And they're like, this is the exact same shit I saw then. This isn't any different. The exact same tactics.
Oh, tactics. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
The tactics, so just division. They're trying
The
to
tactics
they're
to
trying
sow
to-
the division, to keep the division. You need to continue to perpetuate violence surrounding the things that are peaceful. Otherwise, you can't sow that division. It's the easy way to keep the fire burning.
So I agree wholeheartedly with that. So what you're saying is that the peaceful protesters are being. So who is it?
Overwhelmed.
So who is it?
Overwhelmed by whatever whoever.
So who is it
Whoever
though?
else is involved.
Whoever else is involved that's trying to. Because I can't say definitively, but this isn't a new tactic. I'm saying these
Right.
tactics.
So you don't think
have
it's
always been done.
Black Lives Matter
I'm
that's doing
saying
this. You
there's.
think it's
I'm saying there's wealthier financiers on both sides of the ball.
Oh yeah, they're
On
yeah,
both sides of the
yeah,
ball.
if you got money,
When
everybody
you
else
got
is
money,
pawns.
the way that you manipulate the masses is to play both sides. You don't pick one; you play both. You have the money. You
Understand it completely.
You put players on this side, and you put players on this side. You
Yep.
say go, and that's what you know. You know what the outcome's going to be. You know if you had the money, and you're like, I'm going to take this group of people, and I'm going to put them here. And I'm going to take this group of people, and I'm going to put them there. I know naturally that this is the conflict that's about to ensue. I've got peaceful people here. I know there's going to be peaceful people here. I don't want this situation to have this amount of attention, so I can take this group and this group, and I can put them here. And now I've got room to do this. And while everybody is busy fighting over this bullshit, we can do this shit over here.
Okay,
Which ultimately is going to lead to me being able to take most of these people and make them do this. And that's always been the game.
I get it. So what? So okay. So you know it's a game. You know we're getting played.
Yes, we all ought to at this point.
Right. So we're so then why why do you think completely differently than I do if we're both on the same team?